Welcome to the river Little Ouse, or as it is sometimes known, Brandon Creek. At the junction with the Great Ouse is a pub, the Ship Inn, with several 48-hour moorings around it. Just turning into the junction is a selection of permanent moorings called the Little Ouse Moorings. They have a wet dock for hire and they sell diesel and gas. The river is currently navigable for 16 miles from the Great Ouse Junction down. However, there is a very short lock, just 39 foot long, at the edge of Brandon, which stops most boats from completing the last mile or so. There is a winding hole at this point, but the edges of the river here are very shallow. We chose to turn 3/4 of the way down at the flood sluice. According to geologists, this river actually runs through a valley, albeit the flattest valley I've ever seen. Its flat, low banks give great views in all directions, and there's a lot of wildlife about too. Taking the time to head down this nice and steady gives ample time to absorb it all and take it all in. This river has a vast history of cargo and trade, but today only pleasure craft use it. It is a remote river and only a few parts of it can be accessed by road. This makes it an ideal mooring place, and as you can see, lots of boat owners have taken this opportunity to call a small part of this beautiful river home. In the 1690s, when the Thetford Corporation held navigation rights, it was reported that large barges carrying huge amounts of coal could travel right into Thetford on the tide. But the introduction of Denver Sluice and the regulation of water levels meant that only smaller amounts of cargo could be taken that far. There once were plans in the 1770s to build a canal from the Little Ouse to the River Stort at Bishop Stortford. This would have enabled goods to reach London from much of East Anglia, but this proved to be too costly. However, it took until the 1850s and the progression of the railways before the idea was totally abandoned. This sluice is used during times of high water levels to divert water straight into a cut-off channel which flows to the tidal part of the Great Ouse. The cut-off channel was built during the 1950s and 60s and carries floodwater from the rivers Lark, Little Ouse and the Wissey. Along this section the flood banks are lower than elsewhere and often causes a large lake during times of flooding. This river is beautiful. It meanders its way through some amazing countryside. Because we have to turn around and exit the way we came in means that we'll be passing the lovely Ship Inn at the junction with the Great Ouse. But sadly, no time to stop today. Lasagna is in the oven and we need water. Fortunately, just a bit further along the Great Ouse is another 48-hour mooring with a tap. Until next time, thank you for joining us. Take care.